One of the architects of Project 2025 was on MSNBC randomly yesterday talking with his full chest about the right-wing plan to completely reshape the country. It would completely reshape the country. I want to show you this interview. We're going to watch it together. I think it's super important that everyone is aware of what's at stake and what Trump wants to do to the country and what will happen. The best person, I think, to describe what Project 2025 is John Oliver. He thankfully did a show on this. Let's watch that right now. Here is what Project 2025 is.
Basically, Project 2025 aims to do for Trump's whole presidency what the Federalist Society did for his judicial picks. Give him a step-by-step game plan that he simply has to execute and then take credit for.
They basically do all the heavy lifting so that Trump was able to be like, that judge, I want Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, whoever they think will rule on decisions in their favor. Obviously, super effective. Roe v. Wade struck down. So this is like a continuation of that. He goes on to say some of the things that they want to do. Let's watch. This is part of the Project 2025 plan.
Eliminating the Head Start program, installing a pro-life task force to replace
a pro-life task force. So I don't know what that looks like in theory. My guess would be that's a police, some of a police state where they are tracking women's pregnancies and they are making sure that they are giving birth to them. That's what I think that is.
Reproductive healthcare one outlines plans to defund the DOJ, dismantle the FBI, and eliminate the Departments of Education and Commerce, and
defund the Department of Justice, dismantle the FBI. Think about what that country would look like. And replace it with what, by the way? And eliminate the Departments of Education and Commerce. Were you a public school child? I was. Think about how many families that do not have the means to send their kids to private schools would suffer under this plan. So, and then men, this next part, I just need you to pay attention to. And women, but men, pay attention to this part.
States that pornography should be outlawed and the people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned.
Yeah, it's funny because it's shocking, but that is what it looks like when a right-wing Christo-fascist takeover happens in the country. That's what this looks like. So the person who created all of this, one of the people, was on MSNBC yesterday saying everything they want to do with his full chest. So I want to watch it with you, and let's just go through it. It got 2.1 million views on Twitter. So, it should have 20. It should have 20 million views. So let's watch.
Donald Trump, whether someone likes it or not, I happen to like it, is the standard bearer for conservatism.
Well, Michael, what time is it?
Yeah, I don't think it's time for Trump.
So this is Michael Steele. He was the former RNC chair. That means, if you don't know what that means that he was essentially the CEO of the Republican Party. He has since left the Republican. I don't know if he's left the Republican Party, but he has since stepped down as RNC chair, and he's had a come to Jesus moment, and he has done everything he can within his power to try to defeat Donald Trump.
In that regard, because one of the things that as a lifelong follower and participant in Heritage, having spoken at various times there in the roles that I've played in the party, I see this as a dramatic shift away from those Reagan-esque principles when you have someone like Trump who is at
Reagan wasn't great, but, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but Reagan was pro-American and pro-democracy. Trumpism is a withdrawal from everything we believe in and puts its faith and its power into a person, not the Constitution. That's why this is so scary. And you're going to hear more of that.
Some of the things he has. But before we get to that, I want to get to the nub of this, because you can't really do anything until you remove what has been identified as the problem, and that is 50,000 federal employees. Axios quoted.
So pay attention to this part, because this is really the crux of the Project 2025 plan, is the gutting of the federal government of lifelong bureaucrats, people who are not aligned to a president, who are not politically appointed, people who go to work every day on behalf of the American people.
Noted, quote, the massive headhunting quest aims to recruit 20,000 people to serve in the next administration as a down payment on 4,000 presidential appointments plus potential replacements for as many as 50,000 federal workers who are policy adjacent, as Trumpers put it. Policy adjacent to what? I mean, you're talking about people who've been in federal government. My daddy was a federal government employee, so I would be really appalled thinking that he could be on someone's chopping block because they think he is part of some deep state effort. Talk to us about what that looks like. If Heritage is calling for removing 50,000 federal employees, who are you replacing them with?
So this is really a good point. He is going to answer this terribly, but imagine someone being replaced from the government who is an expert on nuclear fusion, an expert on Russian intelligence, being replaced by some fool who is there because he's pro-Trump. That's what this is about. Let's see how he answers.
And where do they come from? I mean, even if it's not 50,000, if it's 10,000, if it's 2,000, where are they coming from, and who are you replacing them with? Because I suspect a lot of those people you're talking about have been in the federal service for a long time and have served not just Republican administrations, but also Democratic administrations, et cetera.
They have. And 95% of them who give political contributions give them to the Democratic Party. I reject out of hand, Michael, that somehow
you're going to fire someone because they wrote a check to a Democratic candidate.
No, we're going to fire someone, and the number needs to be more than 50,000, considering that there are more.
So more than 50,000. This is what to me is shocking about this interview, is that there's no shame about what he's talking about. It's a complete departure from what any president has done before, and it's giving immense power to the executive branch in a way that has never been done before. And he's talking about this so cavalierly.
Because over the last century, the radical left has seen the administrative state as the fourth branch of government. They're unelected bureaucrats. Nothing against your dad, obviously, as a human being. You know that about me and Heritage. But ultimately, we have to devolve power from the imperial city of Washington back to the people.
My dad because he wrote a check to a Democratic candidate without any appreciation or understanding where his political allegiance
we
or
will dramatically reform agencies that take rights away from people.
Why does that matter?
They're doing their job about a mission that's misaligned. For example, the U.S. Department of Education. Thankfully, President Trump deserves credit for saying that he wants to end the Department of Education.
Removing the Department of Education and replacing it with what these Christian fascists want will completely reshape the country. And that's what he's talking about here.
Very different way. You want to look at it from the lens of unelected bureaucrats, most of whom, not your dad, I guess, who want to say that they are more important than the everyday American. We want to look at it from the standpoint of the everyday American and say it's time that they are put in the driver's seat rather than unelected bureaucrats.
Yeah, but they aren't going to be in the driver's seat because they aren't going to be doing the jobs. The folks you're identifying who are Trump aligned are the ones who are going to be coming in.
You are positing that those people are incompetent. And I can tell you from looking at the...
Well, they most likely would be, because I don't know if any of you have ever tried hiring. Hiring, I'm doing, I'm working on this project, and part of the hardest challenge has been hiring, because first off, finding someone who's looking for a job is not easy. Even if they're out there, it's hard to find them. Secondly, when you do find them, they have to be skilled, talented, and willing to work and be competent, be nice to be around. Hiring is not easy. So if you're just gutting an entire agency and filling them up with people, and the first requirement is that the first and really only requirement is that they're pro-Trump, we are not going to be getting the best and brightest working for us. And that's going to make us safer, it's going to make us less safe and the government less efficient.
Of the 11,000 that they're very well
as
qualified.
much as you're thinking, I'm positing these people are incompetent, you're positing that they're somehow executing a nefarious agenda.
Some of them are. Why does the Environmental Protection Agency have 300?
Have you identified them?
If I could interject, because I did actually work for the federal government. I worked with a number, as did the chairman, and I worked with a number of those we call them civil servants in the United States government, people who are not political appointees, and they have the institutional knowledge.
If only they acted that way.
Well, I think Alicia has a question along those lines about one of the policy priorities that you all have identified in Project 2025.
I actually, Dr. Roberts, have a question about this upcoming election. Is your organization going to accept the results of the 2024 presidential election?
I believe that Dr. Roberts can't hear. So Alicia just asked, is your organization going to accept the results of the 2024 election, regardless of the outcome?
Yes, if there isn't massive fraud like there was in 2020.
What does that mean?
If there isn't massive fraud.
Do you believe that there was not massive fraud?
I love that Simone was like, what?
There was massive fraud. We have an election fraud database that has documented that over years. By the way, the Heritage Foundation has been concerned about election integrity for decades, not just about 2020. We've been documenting this problem for a very long time. And if one of the
I believe, according to the Heritage Foundation, sir, by your count, Heritage Foundation has done an investigation, and according to your count, there have been 1,513 proven instances of voter fraud across the United States since 1982.
Yeah, that's probably
1,513.
Because they're very hard to document. And the Democrat Party is very good at fraud. The key thing here, which I think we would both agree on, is that we aspire at the Heritage Foundation to seeing a poll after this election where every American believes their vote was counted. I care as deeply about someone on the political left with whom I disagree saying that they have confidence in the outcome of the election. It seems, rather than turn this into a partisan conversation, which you do a good job of at MSNBC, we might say we aspire to something more noble, which is that every American believes their vote counts.
The reason why every American doesn't believe their vote counts is because Donald Trump systematically and repeatedly attacked our democracy.
Ask you about abortion because it is a issue that is at the top of mind for folks all over this country right now, waiting on a case from the Supreme Court, EMTALA. In Louisiana, in places all over this country, abortion care is unavailable to people that may need it. You and the organization in this plan talks about changing the Department of Health and Human Services to the Department of Life. Do you think that women in America should be able to get an abortion if that is what their doctor says they need?
Abortion's not health care. I find it
abortion is not health care.
Really interesting, if not worse, that you wouldn't support the change of the department name to the Department of Life. I thought we were all in support of life. We believe eminently in women's rights, and particularly women's rights in the womb. And so the real question that you should be asking
I just want to know, if I may, though, because I do ask the question
talking
here,
about the people
I just
who
want to know,
supporting
do you believe
legislation that abortion can happen until 3 days after the person's born? This is an absurd framing by this network.
That is an absurd assertion. As a person with an actual womb, I'm telling you that does not happen.
So
but let me just back up.
Legislators in California, Virginia, New York, who
Dr.
actually
Roberts,
filed those bills.
Does Heritage and Project 2025 believe that a woman should be able to have an abortion if her doctor says that she needs one? It's a yes or no question.
Abortion is not health care.
Won't answer the question. He does not answer any of these questions, but we all know what his answer is, right? His answer is absolutely not.
Is the murder of a human being.
So that's what we're dealing with. These are the stakes of the election. That's not even everything they want to do. This is like, honestly, surface level stuff. I really do empower you to look up what Project 2025 is. It is truly a reshaping of our system of government with yes men that will do whatever Trump wants. Part of the reason why Trump's first term wasn't as, quote unquote, successful as they would have wanted is because there were many bureaucrats in our government that told him no. Those people will get fired. And so it'll make us less safe because they will give him intelligence that he wants to hear rather than he needs to hear. and it'll make our government work less effectively, and it'll replace it with people who have this man's point of view. Okay, so that's all I got for today. I am gonna drum this beat harder. Let me know how you like this video. If you made it to the end, thank you. I actually tried making this video yesterday, and like, the production of doing it, I just messed it up. So I've watched this like 4 times now, so I am like, I could probably memorize this. And secondly, thank you to everyone who has subscribed to me from the video that came out a couple days ago. It went viral for me, which is like 27,000 views. So that's awesome. Want to just try to keep that going. We'll see what happens with this one. This is going to be a very long video. So, just going to keep trying stuff. And if you're new here, I am doing a count up to our watch hours. So I'm sorry if you know this, I'm just going to say it really quickly, but the way YouTube works is you might be getting ads on this. I'm not getting any of the money for it. So I have to get 4,000 watch hours on my channel in order to get ad rev. And we've been slowly counting up. I believe the last time I checked in, we were like 400 and something. We are now at 2,000 watch hours, 2,000 from that one video. We like multiplied it by a bunch. So I'll know if you made it to the end of this video if you're commenting on the watch hours. But if you didn't, I totally get it. So again, just want to say thank you all so much for the support, the love, the great comments, sharing the video, commenting, liking the video. It all helps. So thanks, and see you next time.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?